Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Endangered Species Act was put into law over 50 years ago. Of course, we know its purpose was to protect and recover vulnerable species, save them from population decline and extinction. The Act, however, has to date only recovered a couple dozen species, as there are more than 1,300 species listed in the United States. The ratio of recovery, indeed, is a failure. The ESA must be reformed to refocus the efforts of the federal government to recover animal species in a timely manner without also making it so difficult for people to coexist in their habitat as well. We have this law now that is more likely to be used as a backdoor to regulate economic activity than a pro-conservation piece of legislation. Numerous examples of activist groups weaponize the ESA is to use it as a business model. Indeed, they make money from the lawsuits. For example, in my part of the state, in the Central Valley, the Valley elderberry longhorn beetle has had a very negative effect on the ability of Valley residents to maintain floods in the form of levees. The residents cannot upgrade and improve the levees in this area because the ESA prevents them from doing so without very costly, long-held permits. This is despite the fact that the longhorn beetle is actually recommended by Fish and Wildlife to be delisted for many years now. But the environmental groups indeed keep litigating on that, and the Fish and Wildlife organization has pulled back from delisting the beetle. So why do they do this? It's obvious. If the beetle is delisted, it loses the ESA protections that make levee upgrades so difficult and expensive and time-consuming in order to obtain the permits. Though the beetle has been delisted in some areas of California, such as the southern part, my district, it is still listed, still making it difficult to do needed flood control projects. Another example, one that has devastated the forest industry in the West especially, is the spotted owl. It was listed many years ago. We find that the ESA has indeed made that a weapon against forest management. And we've seen the results of that with million-acre fires year after year, hundreds of thousands of acres of fire that have been wreaking havoc on so much of the West because we can't manage the lands because they might believe there's a spotted owl nearby, even though it isn't really the management of forests that's the problem. It's another larger owl nearby that actually devastates the owl, known as the barred owl. So the spotted owl seems to like forests that are a little closer to human activity because it's seen as a protection from the barred owl, which devastates their population. So what's the end result? Over 100 sawmills in California have shut down due to these protections that indeed make it a timber supply unavailable to the sawmills. So they go away, but instead we have to import timber. Now the activists themselves that sue over this, they don't live in these conditions. They live in cities far away. They don't have to live with the conditions of their economy being devastated in a small town in Northern California or Oregon or other Western states. So it's really easy to regulate other people somewhere else and say they have an ideal about what a forest should look like when their own homes aren't subject to the threat of fire. Indeed, places like Greenville, California, Canyon Dam, California, and a lot of us have heard about Paradise, California, around the country a few years ago as well. So if they don't have to experience it, it's really easy to have urban legislators make regulations that continue to devastate these areas. It's actually the local people that know best how to fight fire, how to manage the lands, and have it generate an economy that helps those communities take care of themselves and keep the people supplied with paper products and wood products that the country still wants. So why in the world are we the number 2 importer of wood in the United States? Well, we have so much that we could utilizing and having managed forests that have the right ratio of trees per acre that actually is sustainable instead of this horrific overpopulation of trees that creates its own drought really and creates a situation where there become tinder boxes, million-acre fires, ruining the habitat, killing the wildlife, indeed opposite of what the Endangered Species Act is trying to do. As well, Why is it we have such high food prices in this country? Why do we even encounter food shortages in the United States of America? Because it's hard to have a water supply in California that is a steady, stable supply. They take away the ability to build dams and enhance our water storage, and all the water flows down the river and out to the sea. Endangered Species Act needs to be reformed so we can put things back on track for human needs. I yield back.